Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of discussions slash arguments I had that are actually pertinent to what's going on in today's world. First argument I had, and like I said, at my age, at work, I don't make my life any harder than it has to be. I do my job to the best of my ability, and I gravitate towards the people I like. I stay away from the people that I don't like, and I try to stay out of arguments, or at least intense ones. You know, I might throw a counterpoint if somebody's just talking trash or garbage, but for the most part, I do just try to just go, okay, whatever, that's your opinion. Uh, and having said that, I really do like pretty much all the people I work with. I have no problem with anybody. There's some I disagree with a lot, but I still pretty much like them. So here's the first thing that came up. For those of you that don't know, on Netflix, Colin Kaepernick has a new series called Colin in Black and White. And one of the episodes, he compared the NFL to slavery, which I think is a perfectly legitimate comparison. You've got and one of the guys I work with, he's 24 and he's very Christian and pretty conservative. Therefore, usually those two go hand in hand. And we discussed it, though. I think it was a pretty civil discussion. We don't really get in heated arguments because what's the point? But he was like, "Can you believe that?" I go, "Yeah, I can totally believe that." He's like, "Why?" I go, "Well, okay, let's think about it." So, as most of you know, there's an NFL draft where they draft the best college players they can to make their teams better. Now, I don't think the draft is necessarily slave-like because it happens in every sport, and it's the fairest way to keep the sport somewhat have some parity within each sport, right? You know, the worst teams from the previous year get the upper draft picks for the following year, and that's theoretically how you keep teams somewhat even-handed talent wise. Salary cap goes into that as well. Having said that, once these guys are drafted, they go to something that's called the NFL Combine, where their skills are assessed. Now, this is what I said. I said, you're going to tell me that they are seeing how high these guys can jump, seeing how fast these guys can run, seeing how much weight these guys can lift and how many times they can lift it. And you're going to tell me that's not somewhat akin to slavery, like looking under the guy's gums and seeing if he's healthy or not, maybe checking his muscle tone and having him walk or run. This is very, very similar to slavery. Now, of course, these guys are there by choice, and not all of these guys are black, but about, I believe, 70%, 75% of the league is black. And so you're going to tell me, okay, they are there by choice. They're paid very well. However, the billionaire owners of these teams make way more money. And these billionaire owners will live nice, long lives, most likely, because they're rich and they're white. Not necessarily so for these NFL players whose average career is 3 to 4 years. Okay, yeah, you make a lot of money, but you're not going to make retirement money instantly unless you're very good. The league minimum is $660,000. Say you get $1 million a year for 3 or 4 years. Let's say that's $4 million. Yeah, you could maybe live on that the rest of your life if you're very frugal with it, but not necessarily. So, I mean, go tell a billionaire, see how he would do. Say, hey, live out the rest of your days on $4 million. They'd laugh in your face. And so these guys, they're going to go out and make the most they can. But when you compare their wages to the wages of the billionaires white boys club that makes up 30 of the 32 teams are owned by white guys, old white guys, or white women. Sometimes the teams are passed down, like the Rooneys in Pittsburgh, the Hallases in Chicago have passed their teams down to their children. The only two teams that are not owned by white people are the Buffalo Bills, who are owned by a Korean woman, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are owned by a Pakistani man, or at least they're of those respective descents. Black people don't own any teams, none. No African people own any teams, so kind of jacked up. Another problem with saying this is non-slave-like, or at the very least, it's very disparate. Right now, like I say, we have 32 teams in the league. Out of these 32 teams, I believe only 2 head coaches are black. 5 are of color. One is Robert Saleh, who is of Middle Eastern or maybe North African descent, because I know that last name, Saleh. I actually have a student in my school with that name, and she's from Libya. So there's that. There's two, Ron Rivera, who was a former linebacker for the Chicago Bears. He now is the coach of the Washington football team, uh, not the Redskins anymore. So maybe we're making some progress. But and another, I can't remember the other guy, but I think there are only 2 black head coaches, 5 of color. So 27 out of the 32 teams are coached by white men. It's a huge disparity considering 70% of the players are black. Also, this goes up to the head office. Very few general managers, presidents, vice presidents, and so forth are black. As you go lower, as you get like the position coaches and some coordinators, you get more black folks. But it's a very steep mountain, and it doesn't end at ownership. It doesn't peak. There's no ownership there. Like I said, no black people own, very few black folks own any professional teams, but none own an NFL team. So we went back and forth about a little bit, but hopefully he saw my point. And I will say this: I will argue more with a 24-year-old than I will with a 54-year-old, for example, because they're not as set in their ways. 54 or 24-year-old people have more open minds and may listen more to what I have to say. I think I do have some wisdom to impart upon younger people, just through experience, and maybe maybe the way my liberal leftist brain thinks. Okay, so we talked about that for a little bit, and having said that, also this guy, we have really good discussions. I like it. He's, like I said, he's Christian conservative. I am liberal leftist atheist. But I said this today. I said, we disagree on some things, but we also agree with a lot of things, and we have a pretty good Venn diagram, which I wish the country as a whole would get back to, where we agree on a great amount of things. Out here on the fringe, maybe not, but in the middle, we all want the same things. And so that was a good discussion. Later on, I had another discussion with a coworker who is my age, and I don't know where this even started, but we have a prayer room in our. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm so sniffly, but I did not do any coke. We have a prayer room in our school, and it's for Muslim kids. As far as I know, it's only for Muslim kids, but I haven't really asked or checked it out, because many fundamentalist Muslims pray they pray often 5-7 times a day. They face east, they do praise to Allah, and there's a whole prayer that goes with it. Part of me thinks, hey, this is a public school. I believe in separation of church and state. You should maybe do all your praying at home or on your own time somewhere. I mean, if you're making your own time, but I sure don't think you should get to bail out of class for a prayer. And so this person told me, she was like, well, we sure wouldn't have a Christian prayer room. I go, I don't know about that. I do know that when I heard the Pledge of Allegiance today, they said under God indivisible, not under Allah indivisible. So let's get over ourselves a little bit. And I love when white Christians act like we're giving everything up. No, we've got it all. And I'm not a white Christian, but I am white, off-white. You can see, kind of dark. Anyway, so that I have an issue with. And by the way, when I was in high school, we had Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Our school, my current school that I teach, which I teach. See, I didn't want to end in a preposition. I'm getting better at English. But the place at which I teach has a fellowship of Muslim athletes. It actually does. I don't know the exact numbers on our Muslim population. I'm guessing it's between 10 and 20%, but that's a total guess. But we do have a lot of East African immigrants and children of those immigrants going to our school. Do I have a problem with them? I guess not. I feel kind of the same as I did when I was young with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I kind of am like, why do we need either of them? Isn't the purpose of athletics to work as a team towards a goal of winning a sport? I don't understand. Religion should have nothing to do with it. If anything, your brotherhood should be you as a team. And that's why I get all choked up and proud when I watch the Olympics. I see a team of every race getting together and trying to perform a goal. I mean, look at our gymnastics team. Perfect example. I forgot the Asian girl's name, who did really great. She won, I think, the all-around gold, possibly. I can't remember. We got Simone Biles, regarded as the best gymnast in the world at this time and probably ever, doing things that no other gymnast in history has done. And then we got 4 white girls. I think we had Latino, too. We did. And so we had a beautiful rainbow that perfectly represents our country. Okay, that's me representing my opinion. Talk to you guys next time. Thanks for listening, and see you soon. Bye.